right, on to step number 3. We're going to go ahead and put together the steering portion and install the axles onto our front unit. So as noted in the last step, go ahead and grab the set that you have marked front. And to make things just a little bit easier, because the directions are a little bit confusing as far as the orientation of the exploded pictures, let's go ahead and hold the axle just like you see it, and again just like you see it here in the manual, just like this, with the short end this way, long end this way, just as it is in the manual. And let's mark top on here, and I'm just going to use a piece of tape to show me that that's the top of the unit, and we're going to refer to this as the top from now on as we're showing orientation on how to put parts on, because again it's a little bit confusing here. They're right, but the orientation of the pictures and whatnot is wrong. You're going to go ahead and get your parts out of your bag that you're going to need. You're going to need one of these units for each side, which is the 80062s, and then you're also going to need the steering knuckles, which are 80061s-1 and 2. Go ahead and get those out. We're adding some pop-ups. We're using the Axial alloy units, so it'll be a little bit, come on, focus. It'll be a little bit different in the instructions as far as what screws to use, but otherwise it's going to be the same and you'll be able to figure it out. So we're going to start by taking our unit and placing the top up with the long end to the left and the diff case pointing to us. Let's go ahead and grab the hub carrier, which is this unit right here. And let's take a quick look at this unit. You're going to see that one of the tabs, which at this point is on the bottom, is longer than the one on the top. And it's actually at an angle if you were to draw a straight line across. So this is a short tab, and this is the long tab. So you're going to want to take note of that. If you're having a difficult time visually seeing that, because it is just a slight difference, mark it somehow, maybe a little piece of tape or something, but just keep an eye because this is going to be important. We're going to go ahead and grab our axle set here, and we're going to look at it from the top, and you're going to see a little hole over here. That hole gets to match up with the little slot in the carrier here, which allows us to adjust our caster. We're going to go ahead and set that at this point, go over the grooves, and set it at this point to where the hole is towards the bottom of the unit. If you look at the exploded view at the top, it shows opposite. However, if we turn the unit around and look at it from the front, then it's correct. So it's just a little bit confusing on the directions. Okay, so at this point, we're going to hold it with the top up, and we're going to take a look at the unit, and as we're looking at it, the longer tab is on the bottom. Let's see if we can get it to focus in here. You can see the longer of the two tabs is on the bottom. And again, this is the orientation that we're looking at it from. We're holding it, the top, with the long arm to the left, and you can see that the longer tab is on the bottom. And if we look at it from the top, you can see that the hole is at the bottom portion of the slider. Not that difficult. Seems that way, but it's not. At this point, we're just going to concentrate on building one side. If you want to go ahead and build the other side as you're going along in succession, then that's okay as well. From that point, we're going to take our two shorter screws that have a coarse thread, and we're going to insert them to hold the hub carrier in. Those are going to go right here. Don't over tighten them because they will strip out. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Get those screwed in just like so. Alright, easy enough, right? So let's hold it towards long end this way, top up. If you look at the top, you can see the screw location, and then also the longer tab is on the bottom. Woo! Lots of fun orientation to look at here. The directions do show that, but it's just not that clear. Go ahead and do your other side if you want. Next, we are going to insert our axle in. You can, excuse me here, you can put a little bit of Loctite on the end. We are using the longer one. There's two, a long and a short. I prefer to use a bearing and shaft retaining compound, which you can buy a little small pen of this at FastEddy Bearings if you would like, and it's basically a metal glue that has a little gap filler in it, and it just holds them into place. So we're going to put a little bit on there. Let's slide a bearing over, seat it down, insert the axle into the long end, and you're going to spin it around a little bit until you feel it meet up with the groove inside on that diff locker, and go ahead and push it all the way in. Make sure there's no binding. Looks like we're doing good there. Now let's grab our steering knuckle. This is the steering knuckle unit here. Again, we're using the alloy one instead of the plastic one in this build, but it all remains the same as far as how they go on. Let's explore this a little bit. Looking at it in this direction, you're going to see that we have a rounded area here and a flat area on the top that has screw holes in it. Okay, let's remember the orientation, and what we're going to do is we're going to call this flat area with the screw holes, that's going to be the top of the unit. Alright, so again we're going to refer to the flat area, not the rounded area, but the flat area as the top. At this point, let's go ahead and insert our bearings into the steering knuckles. We have the larger one in the back and the smaller one in the front. They should press right in. Again, when you need replacement bearings, you can go to FastEddyBearings.com. That's spelt with a Y, FastEddy, E-D-D-Y. Now we need to put in these two little units right here, which are a little bushing for the steering. They have a flange on them. I've actually had these in and out before, so excuse the crud on there. It's a little bit of bearing and shaft retainer. You can use that if you would like. They do press from the inside, and they're a slip fit from the inside on these two holes, and they do like to fall out if they're not glued in. However, you don't have to glue them, but we do. So I'm just going to put a tad bit of goop in there just to help hold them a little bit. And we're simply going to slide these units up inside from the inside. Whoop. That one already has one in there. So we're going to slide this one up. Sorry about that. I've taken this apart and put it back together a couple times. I like to try to test fit my stuff before I video it. So those press from the inside up. Now we are going to take, I'm going to hold those in, they're still not glued a little bit. We're going to take the top part, which is this right here, the flat portion, and we're going to match this up, holding our unit top up, and we're going to slide the axle through the bearings and slide this over. Come on. So that they match up like so. And we're going to put the screws in through the holes on the top and the bottom. If you're using the alloy, you're going to want to use Loctite on there. If you're using the plastic ones, then you will not. We'll go ahead and screw these in. Do take your time and make sure that all the orientations are proper on each of these parts that you put on. I was a little bit confused about some of the photographs, and I built it wrong the first time, and that's why I've taken it apart and studied it, and now we're putting it back together again so that hopefully you guys won't have the same problem. You're going to repeat this process on the second side over here, and it should match up exactly to what you're doing on this side. Again, anytime we work on the drivetrain, we're going to make sure that there is no binding. At the end of the day, once this is built, what you're going to look for is to make sure that the line going across here, which is your wheel position, is pretty much in a straight line as you're holding it straight. If it goes down too far, then you know you've put this together improperly. We can come back later on and adjust our caster settings as needed later on in the build or while you're tuning. So go ahead and build your second side. I'm going to put that on and we'll show you the completed part here in just a second.